Good morning, good morning. I am Evor Bentley. Welcome back to my channel, Overcoming the Battle. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome, welcome. Welcome back if it's not. If this is your first time tuning in, if you have not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button and so that you don't miss any videos. And overcoming the battle is about overcoming the battle of knowing your identity, knowing who you are in Christ, who God has created you to be, knowing that you were created in the image and likeness of God. It's early, y'all. It's like super early. So I think it's like almost 5 a.m. But last night I went to bed with a heavy heart. This morning I woke up and I've awakened, and it's like I'm burdened. I've really been just praying, and regards to some things that's going on in the world today and racism. And I just have a challenge for some people. I've seen a lot of ignorant comments. I'm going to say ignorant because when you're ignorant, you don't know something. But if some people do know and understand some of the stuff, they're commenting. And some of them are just stupid because that's what stupidity is. You do know what you're doing. When you do something wrong and you still do it, that's stupidity. When you do something to intentionally hurt people, you know it's wrong. That's stupid. Ignorance is like not knowing. So I say ignorance because I really want people to have the grace from the Father, but He knows which ones are ignorant and which ones are stupid. So I'm just gonna assume and give them everybody a pass and say that you are ignorant. Okay. So I am from Greenville, South Carolina. So I live in the South. So encounters with racism, um, it's not new. It's not something like, oh, to get, you know, crazy looks by whites if I go in a certain side of town, if I go here. It's not as far as like, and I know some people have different views on the Confederate flags, but when you live in the South and you see trucks with a bunch of Confederate flags and people, so most 9 times out of 10, you could tell by the way the looks you get from being black, and just the way their response is that they don't like black people. So you have to understand the whole understanding of living in the South, and when you see a Confederate flag and you understand what that means from being black. I have seen the ignorant comments that always say all lives matter. And if you're watching this video, I have a challenge for you. I have a challenge for you if you're not a black person living in America. There was this one lady on a page, and she she pretty much called me the devil and a whole bunch of other people. She was a white lady, and she got offended by a message that Pastor John Gray and Steve Furtick did, which I thought was completely awesome, by being very open about the George Floyd case. And she was saying how she didn't like some stuff and she regret building bridges with black people and a lot of stuff she said. And I tried to respond as best I could in love and let her know that she really needs to check her heart, that there's some type of racism there. And she didn't want to get that. She kept saying she guessed she didn't understand. She feels like that she's been blamed because she's white. And, you know, a lot of us blacks was on there and letting her know that, look, we're not blaming you. We know that all white people do not feel the same way. I personally know that. I know that whites get a lot of stares from blacks who have being oppressed, and you have to understand, as far as the black culture, we have been oppressed for years and years. So from a black person, I want you to understand why people are responding the way they are, why you're seeing what you are seeing. And these are not my fears, but this is from, again, a heart of a black person that can think of the thoughts from people that have been oppressed over 400 years, what's going through the minds now, and so many fears. And you have even a lot of whites and people from other races and cultures. Thank you so much for standing up for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so yesterday, I am an insurance broker, and so I go out and see people who request about insurance, right? And for final expense coverage. And yesterday I went to the wrong house, but I went to the right house. I went to the wrong house, but I went to the right house. And it was so interesting. I was waiting for someone to come to the door, and the lady said, my daughter was like, Mom, the lady is at the door. It was a white lady. And she said, I would say don't go, but I think she saw me looking out the window, so I think you should go. I actually didn't see her looking out the window. And we were talking, it was so weird. She was telling me, she said, no, it's so weird, the ambulance come here. She told me her address. There's like another address like on the back side of the city. And so the GPS brought us to the wrong address, right? And she was like, so much is going on in the world. I saw her son sign in the yard. He graduates uh, this week, and I was telling her congratulations. How I had a daughter that just graduated, and she looked at me, and she's like, so much is going on, and she said, Black Lives Matter is happening, and she looked at me with tears in her eyes, and she said, I don't know what it's like to be black living here. And she said, I'm sorry. And she said, I'm sorry. And so, she looked at me and she said, I need you to know that you matter. You're beautiful. And, I'm standing on her doorsteps, and tears just coming down. And something about that encounter with her, I was already shaken up. But after my encounter with her yesterday, I've never had that experience before, to me. I've never had that experience. But I have a challenge for people out there that are not like her. People who are saying all lives matter. We know all lives matter, but you have to understand the black lives are the ones who have been oppressed for over 400 years. And just because we've been taken as blacks off of chains, there's still so many forms of slavery. And so if you were like that lady that was coming and who claimed that she wanted to understand, you know, she just didn't understand. It's like she was so blind to racism happening, to what's happening in the country that she lives in. I have a challenge for you. If you really want to know what it's like to be black, if you really want to know the difference, if you really want to know the looks, if you really want to even imagine the fears that blacks have right now, do you understand when when blacks continue to get killed and treated wrong, do you understand the fears that run through a black person's mind? They're thinking, if they can do this to us, then we're going back in the chains. If they can do this to us and get away with it, then that means we're going to be owned by white people again. So if you really want to have compassion, and you really want to, and I really want people to stop saying the ignorant stuff. Like, when you say all lives matter, you're ignorant. Let me tell you why you're ignorant. Because you're numb, and you're numb to the fact of seeing that there is so much injustice towards blacks. When we say Black Lives Matter, just like that lady, that white lady looked at me and said, you matter. We matter to live. We matter to be free. We matter to be treated equally. So here's my challenge to you. If you really want to change your heart, if you really want to confront that, hidden racism that you don't want to confront? I dare you. Years ago, I believe Oprah was the show that someone came on, how a white person painted up in black and they went out and they noticed the difference, how they got treated. If you don't even want to begin to understand, you will never, if your skin is black, you will never understand, especially living in the South. You'll never understand the experience for me, my brother, and my cousin at 7, 8 years old, having to get off of the bus and being terrified of going home from being chased by whites and being called niggers and questioning something's wrong with you because of the color of your skin. My name, Ivor, stands for African Queen. And for the longest, I went by my middle name because I used to question my identity so much. And the color of my skin was one of the things because of being black, because of being treated. It's 2020 and we would have really thought all of this would have ended. I know somebody's going to look at this video and the ignorance is not going to stop. But I would prefer for the ones who have been numb and not saying anything to just stay that way. If you're going to say ignorant stuff, to not try to understand, to not try to have any compassion, to be black in America, to be judged before you even open up your mouth just from the looks. And again, I know it's not all white people. I know it's not. Just a year ago, I went on a hiking trip with all white people. I was the only black. Loved it. Loved getting around different cultures. I love being open to try new things. It was the first time I ever did that. So I know there are some black people, white people that have compassion and love blacks. This is for someone who's just full of ignorance and who don't understand how will change come if there are so many against and don't want to see the injustice toward a human being in their skin just for being black. Y'all be encouraged. One thing that lady told me too was God got us. I pray for healing and peace. This too shall pass. It shall pass. What's going on right now, the writing. But will it change? Will it get better? I want to continue to have hope for that. Hope for that for my daughters. Hope for that for my children's children's and generations to come. You have to understand the fears of blacks and what's going through their mind. Some minds have literally clicked off because all they are thinking is, we're not going back like our ancestors. We're not going back in those chains. We'll not be owned again. Y'all be blessed. Take care.